Sardar Patel warned Nehru. He said, today we are facing a situation of two fronts. Nehru's position was, it's completely different. His view was that, no, you are being unnecessarily suspicious of Chinese. This government has not shown any reason for us to be suspicious. A few years later, there was a debate about UN seat. Should India be given a UN seat at that time?
We know that over the last few days, BJP leaders have been targeting past Congress governments under Nehru and Indira Gandhi over the ceding of Katchatheevu island to Sri Lanka. It might have been an election tactic of the BJP to counter opposition parties' anti-CAA propaganda or divert attentions from discussions surrounding electoral bonds. Anyway, facts are facts. Soon after the BJP dug up Katchatheevu issue, the Congress party was out there to defend the deeds of its past prime ministers. Their leaders pointed fingers at some part of Indian territory reportedly occupied by China. This was what Congress leader P. Chidambaram said the other day.
Why is the Honorable Prime Minister raking up that issue? Why does he not talk about what happened in the last 2 to 3 years? China has occupied 2,000 square kilometers of Indian territory. And the Prime Minister gave a clean chit to China by saying, and I quote, "No part of Indian territory is occupied by any foreign troops. There are no foreign troops on any part of Indian territory." Now that was a clean chit which China broadcast and trumpeted all over the world. Having given a clean chit to China, why is he raking up a settled issue?
But after this, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar addressed the Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Ahmedabad, that is on April 2nd. While addressing the event, the External Affairs Minister categorically spoke about the India-China issues. He further hit out at India's first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru-led government and alleged that they made policies that favored China more than India itself. Jaishankar was replying to the question whether India should reconcile itself to the status of Pak-occupied Kashmir and Indian territories occupied by China or work to get them back. He claimed that past mistakes were responsible for the problems such as Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and occupation of some parts of Indian territory by China. During deliberations with his then deputy Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel over a permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council, the country's first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru wanted to make sure China got a place in the forum ahead of India. Mr. Jaishankar revealed how Sardar Patel warned PM Nehru of a threat from China. However, the latter played down his concerns and instead advocated a permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council for China. Mr. Jaishankar also weighed in on Sardar Patel's position of not taking the Kashmir issue to the United Nations.
On this issue about, what you say, rewriting boundaries and you mentioned, I think, China-Pakistan. I would like you people really to understand today how the problem with China developed, what you are talking about. In 1950, there was actually an exchange of views between Sardar Patel and Pandit Nehru on the issue of China. Okay, this is last few months before Sardar Patel passed away. Sardar Patel warned Nehru, saying today with the change, because communists had taken power in 1949, today we are, and they entered Tibet. He said, today we are facing a situation of two fronts, which for India has never happened in our history before. Secondly, whatever the Chinese are saying, actually I feel their intent is not good. And therefore, let us take the precautions, let us build a policy around this. Nehru's position was completely dishonest. Okay? His view was that no, you are being unnecessarily suspicious of Chinese. They are, this government has not shown any reason for us to be suspicious. Then he says it is impossible for anybody to attack us across the Himalayas. Okay. So these are wild adventures, these are not something which would ever happen. And we should not build a policy based on these kind of wild theories and suspicions. So it totally dismissed. Now it wasn't only on the border. We at that time, there was a few years later, there was a debate about UN seat. Should India be given a UN seat at that time? So Pandit Nehru's position at that time was, he said, well, we deserve a seat, but first we must ensure China gets it. Okay. So today we are talking of India first. There was a time when the Prime Minister of India talked China first. Okay. He said, till China gets it, हम अपना क्यों में खड़े रहें, अब हमारी बारी आएगी, कभी न कभी आएगी, but first we must get China's work. So lot of these issues I have actually dealt with in my book, even Pakistan, as you have seen. So in the case of Pakistan, I think people know that Sardar Patel was opposed to our going to the United Nations, because he knew that in United Nations different powers will use United Nations. हमारे आपको पता है कि जज जो है, अगर ईमानदार जज नहीं है, तो who will go to that court? It was like a common sense view he had.
Today, when we talk about our boundaries, our territories, some say rewrite our boundaries. Our boundaries are still our boundaries. We should never ever doubt that. But our problem today is what happened in the past. India decided to take the Kashmir issue to the United Nations on January 1st, 1948, raising a point of contention at the world body over Pakistani infiltrators occupying parts of Jammu and Kashmir that had legally acceded to India and demanding that they be asked to leave. In the last 10 years, the Union government has tried to deal with many issues inherited from the past. It has been successful in finding solutions to some of them, while some issues will take more time. In the case of Kashmir, we have a parliament resolution regarding Pak-occupied Kashmir and everybody has to respect it, Jaishankar said. The External Affairs Minister, however, added that it was important to seek answers about our position today, but it was also important to look at the mistakes of the past.